Good morning, grade 11. Today is a new section about the ecology of protists. Open your books on page 610. This is part 1. The objective in this video is to identify the ecological significance photosynthetic protists have. What are autotrophic protists? Protists, as we have said earlier in the previous video, are eukaryotes that contain DNA in their nucleus. Autotrophic protists are protists that depend on sunlight or chemical reactions to make their own energy. For example, if you see a green scum on the edges of poorly maintained swimming pool, you might identify it as algae. But the truth is that these are protists. Scientists have classified algae to belong to different groups. Some of them are prokaryotes, for example, cyanobacteria. Some belong to the plant kingdom, and others they are considered as protists. Photosynthetic protists include phytoplankton species, along with red and brown algae, as well as euglenas and dinoflagellates. Euglenas and dinoflagellates are protists. These organisms share an autotrophic lifestyle, marked by the ability to use the energy from light to make carbohydrate as food source. What are the ecological roles these autotrophic protists play in the environment? The position of photosynthetic protists at the base of the food chain, because some of them are considered as primary producers, makes much more of the diversity of aquatic life possible. Some of the ecological roles that protists play are feeding fish and whales, supporting coral reefs, providing shelter, and recycling waters. Photosynthetic protists make a large portion of phytoplankton. What are phytoplankton? As you remember, they are small, free-floating organisms found near the surface of oceans and lakes. Phytoplanktons provide a direct source of nourishment for organisms as diverse as shrimp and baleen whales. The second ecological role is to support coral reefs. Coral reefs, which are found in warm ocean waters throughout the world, provide food and shelter to large numbers of fish and other organisms. Protist algae, known as zooxanthellae, provides most of the coral's energy by photosynthesis. Coralline algae also help to provide calcium carbonate to stabilize growing coral reefs. As you know that calcium carbonate is involved in the growing of bones. And in this figure, you see coralline algae, which is purple in color, and it's amazing to look at. The third role for autotrophic protists is to provide shelter. The largest protist is a giant kelp, as you can see in the following figure, or brown algae, that can grow more than 60 meters in length. As we've said earlier, kelp forests provide shelter for marine species, and they are also considered as a food source for sea urchins. If you don't know sea urchins, they are spiky circular brown sea animals. Another brown algae, known as sargassum, forms huge floating mats, many kilometers long, in the area of the Atlantic Ocean, near Bermuda, known as the Sargasso Sea. These are the sargasso in the following figure. Now, let's move on to recycling wastes. Many protists, they grow rapidly where sewage is discharged, where they play a vital role in recycling waste material. However, when the amount of waste is excessive, euglena, which is a protist, can grow to enormous numbers and create an algal bloom. Algal blooms can disrupt an ecosystem's homeostasis. Let's take an example. An algal bloom in a pond or lake, it depletes nutrients from the water, and the decomposition of the dead protists can rob the water of its oxygen, causing fish and invertebrates to die. Another example is the blooms of the marine protists called dinoflagellates. They create what is known as the red tide, as you can see in the figure. The build-up of toxin produces these protists that can poison fish and shellfish. End of part 1, section 21.3. Thank you.